The real deals are on the air now. And now, live from the Swords of St. Michael Studios, it's The Real Deals, Kenneth and Pharaoh's Deal. Hey, folks.
We made it!
Hey, it's YouTube party tonight.
Oh, my gosh.
We're live on YouTube, really live, just like the real people on YouTube. What the heck? So it took us an extra half hour, nearly.
I know. This is just like,
to do this.
Can we have any more fun tonight?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're starting a half hour later, you guys. I hope we're not going to keep you up past your little bedtime, kiddies.
This is weird. This will be the first time I have access to live chat in real time during the show, too. But Farrah's getting her login at some point, so if you heard a clickety-click...
You know what? I just signed in. I just signed in as Swords of St. Michael. I'm not going to deal well with this. I just signed in, okay, guys?
Okay, that should work.
Oh,
I
my
think so.
gosh,
I don't know
you
what
guys,
to
how
expect.
crazy.
So the other place that begins an F...
Yes, we give it a big grade. What is it? YMCA or something like that? You need to go to the YMCA.
Yeah, no kidding.
Why? Oh, my gosh. How frustrating. Sorry,
Tonight's
guys.
show, before we get started on the prayer, is going to be talking about the Great Masquerade, particularly when it says it's a child spirit, appears as one, and people are like, is that really a child spirit? And it's going to go from an investigation standpoint, not saying how to test the spirit, like, you know, people will quote the Bible and all that. You're not testing the spirit. You're looking for signs of what kind of spirit it is. And that's what the show is about tonight. And we got a bullet point list, but we'll get started on the St. Michael prayer. Would you like to do it tonight, or would you like me to, babe?
Sure, honey.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
David, Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
In nomine Patri, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancto, sic erat, et principio, et nunc, et semper, et saecula saeculorum. Amen. Sancta Michael Arcangele, defenda nos in prelio, contra nequitiam, et insidiis diaboli est presidium. Imperidi Deus, supplicis de peccamur tuque, princeps militiae, celestis satana maliosque, spiritus malignos, qui ad perditionem animarum pervigantur in mundo, divini virtute, in infernum detrude. Amen. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sanctus, sic
I'm going to need a longer slide for
nunc
that.
et semper et saecula saeculorum. Or you could just put the English up so people can follow along.
Oh, that was way longer than the English. They were lost a place.
You're such a nudge.
So I used to do
You're such a nudge.
The Most Sacred Heart, Jesus, have mercy on us. If you want to know quick about us, look on the page where it says the About or whatever.
Yes.
Above us. And while you're here, like and subscribe. Click the subscribe button.
Please do.
And you can get the notifications, too, by clicking on the bell.
Yeah, click the little bell, you guys. So the little bell go ding, ding, ding. There's a new
bottom,
video.
Right down there is our little quick bio on a scroll. So you're like, who the heck are these guys? They're not Father Chad. Before Father Chad, there was the Real Deals. He was still in the seminary or running around playing Ghostbusters.
I know.
Okay, let's go
Crazy.
This fun stuff.
So what's our topic tonight, dear? Because I had like 5 emails and I said it was something about ghosts and hauntings and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, you're just so wrong.
The meme of the week.
Oh my gosh, it's a good thing the kids can't see that. But then again, they're teenagers, so, you know, what are they going to care?
Exorcism. There's no age. Anyone can do it.
You are just...
that's why it's funny, because that's not a true statement, by the way. Okay, did you get a good look at that, everybody? Okay. It's like, what's going on there? That must be the oldest child, huh?
Yep.
We have some books that the 6th one is going to have to be run by, and the rest of them, we want to get them an official stamp from the bishop's office. So we're going to call them Edition 2. The Haunted Investigations one will be published for the first time, but I want it to get the same thing. One of the problems is the bishop's office is going to look at it from a theological standpoint. And if you have parapsychology in there, they're not qualified to do that. So we're going to see if we can get it done, because I didn't get it done before with previous bishops and so forth. But this one ensures us, run it by, you know. And then our director of the Ministry of Exorcism is going to look at them too. So the old books as well as the new ones. And one of the example new ones was suddenly going to have our our official denotations on it, just their names. And that's Catholic Demonologist Handbook, Volume 2. Don't be confused with Edition 2. Edition 2 is like something that's been updated, a little more content added, change the cover, that kind of thing.
Yes,
Volume 2 means a companion, a second part of the same topic.
2, as in 2.
I'll say 2.
Hey. Hi, Michael.
People are
Hi,
starting to
Tony.
pop in there? Good.
Hi, Denise. Yeah, thank you all for joining us. I am so sorry we've had so many problems. Janine just commented on our Facebook post, you guys, and said, it's not just us. A friend of hers was having trouble getting live, too. So Facebook just might have saved us a lot of aggregate, because I'm telling you guys, I mean, I cannot even just we're going to keep it positive. We're going to keep going forward. This is not something that's unusual for us. And if this is something that, I don't have to be the tech person. Ken gets to be the tech guy. I get to wear the skirt, that kind of thing. So, I mean, as long as he's happy, I am totally not running screaming. So this could be like a regular thing for us, you guys. So we may just be pasting the links from so on, just like all the pages and all that other stuff. And Ron's in the chat room, too, with Denise. Hello, Ron. You must be rocking the baby so Denise can actually type. Right?
Dream Theater.
Yes. So if you guys, if you could help us tell people, if there's any way you could share our link here on YouTube on your page and tell people, hey, we're all waiting for you over here, that'd be great too. Because I'm trying to be in the moment and be live with you guys, and it's kind of hard to. I can juggle.
/ The Real Deal, spelled with all E's.
Yeah, I'll post it on the swords.
And this is the first time we used the live function here, and it was relatively easy. As soon as I found I had trouble finding it in the interface a little bit, but okay, let's get on with this stuff. People are saying, get on with it.
Margaret made it. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for joining us. I'm so glad you guys found us. I feel so stupid having to do this.
This is a good topic, and as usual, they're not going to be thorough, but they're going to be pretty thorough compared to what else you
And
might
let's take it one at a time here, okay? Because if we go all over the place, I just don't always follow you, and since I'm not drinking wine, I'm actually having my organic tea tonight. I have to pay attention.
As you have it on your monitor there, I have them in order, and they're not in any particular organized order or organized fashion. And some of them might be related to number 1, might be related to one that's up on number 9. You don't know until we get there and go, oh yeah, you can refer to number 1.
I am so loving the eases. Okay, I have to tell you guys in chat right now. Tony, Denise, I totally agree. I love this chat. I love the chat function. I love how live it is. It's much more interactive and much more friendly. So I'm thinking we have something really good here, you guys. I'm so excited.
Good. So that's that might be a regular thing, and we'll experiment with it next week to where we do the announcements and everything, and we'll schedule one to draw people in on YouTube also. All righty. So back to the
which are we starting on number 1, honey?
Carol Merrill.
Number 1.
Number 1. I want to get the first thing is define, and it's on the top, but you can almost miss it. It's not a topic.
Okay, so we're talking about little kids that traipse around in the middle of the night saying, "Oh, help me, help me!" And so your focus is what?
That
number 1.
Just the first thing we got to do
take it apart.
Is it a good ghost? That's what people usually ask.
Am I a good ghost?
And then we say, "Oh, most likely not." Especially when it's children. God's not that mean that their guardian angel everybody abandons, and they're crying, and they're 6 years old, and they're holding their dolly. And we'll get to that in a minute because it's later on down the line. But when you get to that, you're being manipulated, and you'll find out it's customized to who you are, where you're at in life, what your age is, and those type of things. Let me first define apparition and ghost. Well, or you can, Farrah, apparition and ghost. Ghost is supposed to be a human spirit that has unrecognizable features. In other words, it's human.
Yes.
But you don't recognize the features.
True.
Sometimes they defer a shape of a silhouette, like the Oscar type.
Oh, yes.
And the shadowy ones and all that. But I think that's kind of, that's a guess it's a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an apparition is like the Blessed Mother. The reason why they call them apparitions because people identify as Our Lady, with the blue mantle and other distinguishable features. And if you got visited by a child who used to be the next door neighbor kid who played in your yard and you distinguishedly recognize them, it looks just like them, that would also be considered an apparition. So we're talking about both ghost and apparitions here to some degree because most often you hear from people, right, Farrah, that these ghosts, that's supposed to be a child, it's not somebody they know from life. So that would qualify as a ghost, right?
That's the sad thing about that is that, what qualifies that, Ken, really, seriously?
Oh, I got some spell errors on here. Target instead of target. Yeah. That's the problem. It doesn't highlight red like it does in
Where's spell check? Where's spell check? All right, somebody needs a spell check.
Nights. Yeah. You guys want to help us out?
I need an easy button, kid. Oh, that's upside down. Right side up. There you go. Easy button.
Who it may target and why the masquerade? Well, I guess we can go over that a little bit, even though there is a part in the list that something like that. Who they may target and why. I'll start part of this, and you can fill in some more on this, Fair. I think this is a good tag team topic. A TTT. Like
everybody loves the chat. This is so much easier for everybody.
I bet it's not slowed down, too.
No, it's not. I mean, it's just real time. Denise is helping people in there, telling people just don't do the top chat, do the live chat. And things are just flowing so smoothly. It's like 1,000% better. And Terry's like, this is providential. I said, providential? I mean, this is God's right hand saying, you guys needed the easy button.
This might speed up some time on other processing. And we might be able to do a second thing.
Yeah, Tony, tragit is the next word for, the new form of rad trad. You're not a rad trad anymore. You're a tragit.
A tragit. That's a good one. Capital W.
You're not a rad trad. Okay, I'm sorry. That was bad.
This should be.
Hey, Dominic made it from Poland. Hey. Good to see you. Oh, my gosh.
Greetings to Poland.
Yes.
Dominic.
We have friends tonight that are listening in from Ireland, from Poland. We've got a friend in Brazil that's
besides
just like...
the UK, some of these countries that otherwise might not speak English.
So hello. Thank you all for joining us. Sorry, we're trying to get into the mood, and we're just trying it out.
Yeah, Farrah's going overtime on the clickety-click over there because she's still telling people,
I'm still trying to tell people, get in here, you guys.
We're in the old professional, reliable standard of YouTube.
Hi, Sue. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We're still on number 1 because we actually got a half an hour late start, or almost a half hour late start. Yeah. We're so sorry because Face broke tonight, and we usually download our videos to here, but it's looking like, you guys, this is a lot easier format, and we've been talking about coming here and doing live videos and going into this, and so we don't belabor the point, and we only keep you an hour. I just want to thank you all for joining us. Yes. Janine made it, and Janine's Polish too. Well, my great grandfather was he had a little Pole in him.
Are we sure? She's just saying that so she feels.
Janine, are you just saying that? Oh my gosh. And you know what? Denise said there's also a place where people can donate real time. Denise, I promise you we're going to get to that. Denise is our business manager. She's got her little flog and Molly thing going. Okay, deals. Come on, step up with it.
Denise to walk around with a collection plate.
I know. Denise, where are you with the hat when we need you, okay?
Hey, look at down here. It says Gigar, not cigar.
That's okay, darling.
Is that something that
That's okay, sweetie.
It's something you can smoke legally.
A rigid tragit. Tony is still rolling about the rad trad jokes. He's on to rigid tragit now because of your fabulous spelling, sweetheart.
Well, we could use that new one because we'll steal it. We'll call it a dealism, or we just call it a Tonyism on that one there. So you got to come up with more so you can actually get a reputation.
I promise, Denise, we'll work on the donate button. Farrah needs another bottle of wine. Actually, we need more stamps.
Farrah.
We need more stamps. We're out. We just mailed out our last 2 brochures.
Okay, the line on the top right before number 1 is who it may target and why the masquerade. First off, demons. Did we
finish talking about the audience witnesses though, honey?
No, because that's above that.
Oh, it's above that. Okay.
Yeah. The masquerade is purpose because
okay. We're still talking about the masquerade. Sorry, folks.
Initially, what the masquerade is a bait and switch. It's a topic that I put in the book, and I used to talk about that in radio shows in early 2000 and abroad, in the 90s and so forth. It was just a term that I used, the Great Masquerade. And why it's a great one, because they fool you in every way. It's a child who misses his mommy or her mommy, usually often a cute little blind girl or whatever holding a dolly. And do you remember the famous case about they're doing it to death now. Isn't there a third movie about the Annabelle doll, but it's not a Raggedy Ann doll like it was supposed to be in the original story? And, of course, it does way more than it did in the original story. It was the only time it really moved and someone's present did something was when no one was there. They thought it could have changed positions, and it supposedly wrote on the walls with a crayon. I don't even know if that was... I can't tell what they make up sometimes.
Yes.
And the other thing is that boyfriend fell asleep on the couch and had this horrible dream where he had sleep paralysis, sounds like.
Yes.
And then he had a dream that the doll was coming up to strangle him. Well, usually it wouldn't be the doll itself. I think that fear was being used as a token because the doll probably creeped them out. But the nurses had a psychic medium over, and the psychic medium says Annabelle Higgins is the name of a little girl who used to live in this property, and she's the one moving the doll around. And says that she likes you guys and would like to know if she could move into the doll and live with you guys. And then they both said, oh, yeah, okay, sure. I like little kids, even though they had, they're not married and they had no kids or whatever themselves. So there's the target example right there. Who it may target and why. That when they targeted these people, these are women, and adult women will relate to kids more than teenage women who are probably still living with their bratty brothers and probably despise kids. But when they get to a certain age, 25 and so forth, they kind of yearn for the idea of children. That's natural. And they're not married yet, and they're the easiest to pull the wool over the eyes. And parents who already have children. And, of course, the other masquerade is the most effective one is teenage boys and girls who can be lonely and kind of awkward on getting with boyfriends, girlfriends. And the spirit will pretend to be your dream date. And it'll turn out to be like the famous Donovan case that's in Gerald Brittle's book. Something that it's not, the rebel without a cause, no, it's a demon, cast out of heaven.
Yes.
Pretending to be. So we got to watch out for that. So let's go. It's on the first one. Who is the audience of witness? And you can add to that, Fair Rose.
Well, when Ken and I first got together, he had so much information packed in that Catholic Demonologist that was like, oh my gosh, it's so insane. Because I looked, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I write this? Because I just didn't have any clue that what I was doing was demonology. So what I did was I said, there's a few things in here that, in my Catholicism in the years that I had been experiencing a lot of things that I said, let's round this out. So he allowed me to add a little bit more things, and we've got so much more to add because there's one way of coming from demonology, which is, the only one that we actually approve of, the Christ-based, Christ-centered, from the experience of the church and the magisterium. And it's important that people add their experiences because, as we know from the variety of exorcists that we talk to, we work with, we talk to, etc., we each have our own experiences, and we learn as we go. So when we're talking about actual witnesses, we're talking about who is the witnesses. Ken and I got together, and I said, Ken, this is the way we used to do it old school. And then I'd get upset with the groups that I was with that was either just going in to do a classic ghost hunt or determine if it was demonic, and the people wouldn't get help. And I got really upset with the way people did investigations. So I said, we got to write a book on investigation. So I wrote this great book on investigation. He was like the super tech guy. Father Bob wrote the great intro into it, and we're about to set it up to the publisher. This is one of the most important aspects of whodunit. All the quotes I use are from Sherlock Holmes because observation is everything. Observation is 9/10 of what our senses are actually going to remember. Why? Because we rely on our eyes so much. We rely on our visual senses. We have not, like, my blind sister or some people that I know, we haven't learned how to rely on our hearing, on our smell, or our skin jumping off the back of our neck and just going, oh my gosh, that's insane. So when you're looking at who's the audience, you have to be able to step into or understand the audience. If you've got a 91-year-old woman, all right, that's the actual audience, and she's got cataracts, she can't see very well, she wears 2 hearing aids that are on her bedside at night, and seriously, we have to consider who is the witness. What is their form of perspective? Is this an autistic young person that has severe autism, or they have severe learning disabilities and they're 17 or 18? We write about this stuff in the investigation book, you guys. This is very important because every person's perspective is valid. This does not mean that it is accurate and correct. World of difference here, folks. Their perspective is valid because it's coming from them, but it does not mean that it's accurate in determining what exactly the source of the haunt is. So when you are looking to determine and solve a case, consider the source. As my grandma would say, consider the source always.
There it goes. All these things are all colliding
Well, it's like,
together.
what if it's like my uncle who I love dearly, who, I love him dearly, but he likes the bottle more than he likes reality.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, he's drinking way too much alcohol, and he doesn't remember what he said yesterday, doesn't remember what he saw, but he knows he saw it 5 minutes ago. So you really have to consider whoever is giving you the information.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so true, because that thing applies straight across the board for investigations. We asked this, and this is all these questions are kind of like, what would you ask somebody who told you this? I saw a child spirit show up in my bedroom. And then we say, well, who was the audience of witness? And then it's basically saying, you were the only one who saw it? Did your husband wake up and you nudged him and he looked and saw the same thing? That's rare. And how old is the people who saw it? Because sometimes they'll say my 2-year-old saw it, which you can't tell when they're 2 years old. Because they might just be forming direction. Remember they said about dogs that cats don't understand pointing?
Yes, exactly.
Gallagher said that once. So when you point at the food, you got to take the cat's head and put it all the way down at the food. Because when you point, they follow your finger instead of following where it's pointing to. And
Yep.
dogs will go, oh, it's right there. Well, kids do that too. If it's a dog and 2 years old, that's smarter than a dog. So you got to be careful what you guess the children to be perceiving too. It doesn't mean just because even a cat's looking around, he could be looking at a mosquito. They can zoom in
Very
on that
much
stuff.
so. Oh, we
If they're not
love
looking at some
mosquitoes.
orb or spirit, flying around in a house and stuff like that. People want it too much. So next, can you see the feet? This one's a popular one for the people are probably going to hate me after saying this. Some of the false apparitions don't have the feet.
We're talking about the feet, the feet, the feet. Get it off the feet, the beat off the feet.
I'm going to mount the keyboard next to
so
here and go off on something, and like Chevy Chase used to do in a
Oh my gosh!
It'll be short-lived.
It's a good thing I got this keyboard in my way. I'm gonna stick my foot in the camera. It's like, okay, what's this about the feet? You and feet. You got a foot fetish, dude.
Nah, not really.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
That's why I don't rub your feet very much.
You are such a
I'm
nut.
like Eddie Murphy
You
from
are
that one
such a
movie,
nut.
Robin Williams. Yeah, whatever that one was called, I forgot. Can you see the feet? Oh no, you got me into the feet. Come on, Farrah, come on, sing it.
No, I'm done singing
Can
about
you
the
see
feet.
the
I don't want
feet?
to. I don't want to talk about no more feet.
There was some
okay?
false Blessed Mother
We're not talking about no
apparitions. One not necessarily indicating demonic. Another one I thought was rather demonic. And they named 2 of them. And you
Yeah.
couldn't see the feet. They were hidden by clouds and roses. On every apparition that was authentic, they did note the feet. You could see the toes, for example, sticking out at least one of them, one toe, 1 foot. I mean, not one toe. Out from underneath, like the Lady of Guadalupe, when she was stepping on the crescent moon, and an angel was down underneath her, holding up part of her long train, whatever you call that there. Farrah knows the name for the technical clothes terms. But,
What kind of clothes?
like something the Blessed Mother would have wore down at the Mother of Guadalupe picture. The one that showed up in Juan Diego's vestments.
Juan Diego wore the cloak of a peon.
Mm-hmm.
He wore a tilma because he was of a lower class, and he was not allowed to wear or have dyed clothing. As the tilma went open, showed the beautiful bright colors of Our Lady of Guadalupe. That was very unusual, and her feet were showing.
Yeah.
Her feet were showing.
So that's something if you're looking to try to determine. We're going to do another show about that on the apparitions, and we're also going to do a show. So if you hang tight, during these coming months, in October we're going to talk about hauntings in particular, famous ones and others, as it relates to. We always want to do things that are only related to helping yourself. We're not going to glorify anything by doing this stuff, by putting people on.
Yes.
It's what happened to you, and then how did it get solved. So if we have anybody on, it's always going to be the second part would be the biggest emphasis. And the other one is we want to do a show about what people consider to be mystics. On both sides, the people who are kind of halfway to Christianity and they call themselves, psychic mediums or something. We're going to outline, how do you tell the difference between when it's supposedly demonic influence or when it's angelic or Holy Spirit or whatever, because you get this kind of weird thing with, even with the traditional movement out there, Tony, as you know, that a lot of people in there, when they start going to the Latin Mass and stuff, they start believing that they're having mystical experiences, seeing the Blessed Mother. So you're getting it everywhere in life, no matter where you're at, whether you're ultra-traditional and you save 100 rosaries a day. You know, it doesn't stop there, and then it goes all the way back, of course, way into the paganism roots and stuff like that. So how to determine and discern. Another show. Anyway, so the see the feet thing. Another thing you want to say about the feet was, in Deb's case, true story, about the Dublin, Connecticut case, when her brother saw the old man, he looked down and he saw the feet, and he said there were hooves, and they were like, like goat legs or something like that. And that was what just as particularly frightening, and said what was actually said by the Spirit, and he's pointing with his bony finger, said, beware.
Yes.
And he said that twice to him. Of course, what happens? He ends up possessed, and it takes 6 church-sanctioned exorcisms to get that done.
So
but there's
sad.
something about the feet. They won't show human feet. If it shows an animal's foot, same thing.
Well, I think the most important thing here, kids, is that we want everybody to know that the demonic, while they are able to give these magnificent visions, and they just have incredible abilities to suggest all these interesting shapes and images and faces and things to your mind. They are not, when it comes to manipulating matter and manipulating something in front of your face, like, pareidolia, where you're looking for a face in a cloud or whatever, they are not capable of forming a fully functioning body. Such as, you might see 3/4 of a body, but it's missing like the back of its head, and you're like, what's that? And it's so imperceptible that we're all easily fooled. We're all easily fooled and say, I'm pretty sure that was a full person. But no, it was missing a hand. It was like the arm was cut off at the elbow. What happened?
Yeah.
You're not seeing a dead body. You're not seeing a dead ghost. It's a demon.
Yes, exactly. And these symptoms you'll see that are going to be outlined in here, as we go from the Sherlock Holmes method of deduction, it's by, it's not like we read Sherlock Holmes and we decided to do it. We realized that we had that in common with that philosophy. And that is, we want to eliminate the possibility of it being a demonic, and then we'll look again and see if it's good. So some of these symptoms, or most of them in here, you'll see that that's what we're looking for, and it saves time. Guess what else it saves time on? Psychological evaluations. If you can eliminate the demonic presence, you don't need to go and try to find out if they're mentally health first, because when you find the demon traces all over everything, why would you take them to a doctor? You need to get him delivered,
So true.
or liberated first. So the are they floating on the ground relates to, that's why it's 2B. Are they floating on the ground? Have you heard this old thing Sylvia Brown said? Don't believe in her even when she was living.
God, don't think so.
Says that ascended spirits were 3 feet, about 3 feet above the ground. Well, for the most part, the Blessed Mother hasn't shown up in apparitions on the ground level. She was always, and it wasn't necessarily 3 feet either.
No,
probably more like
always,
6 feet.
And I think now that, if I can interject something
Sure.
a little bit, this is just a personal opinion. This is not doctrine or belief, folks. I come up with theories sometimes about why we see things and experience things as we do sometimes. And I think because the beautiful blessing of actually seeing Jesus' mother is so unusual. Other than, there's a couple different types of people that have these visions, and some of them are mystics, and some of them, this is just a personal, private revelation. That's how it's looked at. That's how it's disseminated. That's how it's dissected. And when you look at the actual visitations, none of them are actually, she's never, ever, ever actually with her feet on the ground. And I have, like I said, I have a really interesting theory about this, and I could be totally wrong. But I seriously believe that as someone so pure and so holy would not be able to be touched by any form of evil that exists in this place. And what do I mean by that? When we look at exorcisms, when we look at the enmity that lies on this earth, and when we have a storm of any kind, we basically bind away, like let's say if we've got a tornado rolling in, we bind away things by lighting a holy candle, and what do we address? We address the earth, the air, the wind, the rain. Because, as it says, we fight not against flesh and blood, but rulers in high places, principalities and powers. And I believe that this beautiful image of the Mother of God, she would never sully her feet by getting that close to something that could be demonically infested, like dirt. Actually, earth, the plate tectonics that cover demonics. Ooh, I made a rhyme.
I'd really enjoy talking about some more apparitions on another show. Some of them are really going to offend people. One, supposedly, she supposedly was getting her gown all dirty and stuff. And I was like, an apparition getting mud on there because the people are getting too close? And
yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Dropping the baby Jesus when some reporter tests to see if they're an exorcism. The seer said that she thought the Blessed Mother dropped the baby Jesus. It's like there's really some ridiculous things you can't ignore. And the same thing here. You're looking for the black flags or red flags or whatever. And so, floating on the ground. So, when Sister Faustina saw Jesus, he was on the ground, and he saw feet and everything like that. And the famous, Jesus I Trust in Thee portrait that was painted. So, not much more to say about that, except that you can take that into consideration and add it.
Oh, definitely. And, if you guys think of anything else, you can always post comments later here on YouTube, and we'll check them out, and we'll answer them then, too. So, onward and upward. I mean, we've still got half a show to go, and we haven't even got through the list. All right, so we did the song about the feet. That was all fun. Are they floating on the ground? We did that. Okay, face back. The black eyes thing. Okay, this is another really, really important one. When any sort of vision or apparition, humans, from the first experience of an infant that hits the light, they're instantly looking to connect with eyes, with face. I mean, it's instinctual in us. It is the most primitive need of a child to connect with another human being in that face. So what is the opposite? What does Satan want to do with that? Let's just talk about that. What does it want to do? What has it got going on for it? Fear. Hollow emptiness. Hatred. People want, because we see everything from a human perspective, they want to believe that the demon feels bad, that the demons don't feel anything. They're not capable. They are fixed. We, who are human and divine, have a flexible nature. They were already given their choice. They have no emotions, no choice. They have, like Ken calls, the prime directive. So, what is their prime directive? To destroy you. Aren't you feeling good about now? Gotta laugh at them.
That negative nature is the thing that you look for, the earmarking.
It really is, and we're talking about eyes.
Destructive.
They say they've said for thousands of years, the eyes are the window to your soul. What do you see in somebody possessed? What do you see in somebody that's had a step in possession? What do you see in somebody that has, let's say, they have a schizophrenic breakdown? Schizo meaning they've split. What do you see in somebody that has had, a grand mal seizure? We see what's going on, the struggles that they have through their eyes.
That's true.
You may see a coworker at work, and they may be struggling with God knows what. And they're smiling at you saying, yeah, it's all right. But what do their eyes say?
Yeah.
Eyes tell us everything. And when you're talking about hauntings and apparitions, the eyes are going to tell you. And a lot of times people, when they see an apparition, they don't even get the eyes. They just kind of like glance at it moving. It's like a shadow, or it's like a being, or like, oh yeah, I remember it was wearing like a red shirt.
Yeah.
They
Unless
don't even,
the eyes glow.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't even really get the eyes. Hey, Ashley made it! Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo! Yep.
Yep.
That's too funny.
Yeah,
you made it.
We're gonna do that. We'll do it on YouTube next week for everybody. Same time, same channel.
Yeah, we're gonna take it to YouTube because this is so much easier. We can take your questions live, and we can really, elaborate a lot better. Oh, and Lisa's here too. Oh my gosh, yes, Dominic, people often do see strange reptilian creatures. We're going to talk about that at the end, okay?
Yeah, there's
so
a
hang
conspiracy
tough.
theory I'm going to probably on another show, so we might just do a whole show about that. Mm-hmm. And maybe bring in one of our conspiracy theory guys, because I think there's something that correlates that I think is very interesting. Okay, so the thing about the black eyes. Now, here's a few things here. When Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, that's Deb, our co-host husband, haunting case that we just talked about, Dublin, Connecticut. When he described, he says he saw the black eyes, and they really drew him in of this demonic creature or whatever. When he went in the backyard in front of the well, there was something standing there, and you could see that it had black eyes. It's been said that the eyes are the windows to the soul. We heard it from one of our nuns in the family. That always stuck in my mind because of experiences that I had with people, such as me and you had talked about, Farah.
Yes.
I've heard an ex-Satanist say it's in the eyes. There's something about when you look at a Satanist who's really a Satanist, not the dabblers who listen to Slayer and King Diamond or whatever. It's in the eyes. And you know that when they're possessed too, but it's not exactly like that, because they're not going to show possession signs when they're in that state. What else also applies to this too is the face isn't going to be the same. Let's say it's your dead uncle Herbert, and you're like, well, I think it's Herbert when you're asking somebody about the ghosts, and they're answering asking you questions. Did it look like him as he died? Did it look like... We'll go into what was the age? That's the question we asked later. But it was more like, did the face look like him? Oh, there was something wrong about it. They'll say that. Mm-hmm. They'll say, like, the eyes, the black eyes. They'll say that the... how about the succubus cases when they said it was a beautiful woman, and then all of a sudden when it smiled, they saw that there was rotting, horrible teeth inside of it.
That's pretty
grody. Or
grody.
Jagged teeth. So it's in the face. If you can look at the features and try to remember the face, but don't stare in the eyes. We've heard that too. If you get in contact with an evil spirit, just think of it as Dracula. Remember there was something about the hypnotic effect of Dracula. Don't stare in the eyes. There's something about the eyes, as Arnie said, that really drew them in.
Somebody just made I don't mean to interrupt you real quick,
no,
Ken,
I'm done.
But somebody just made a comment. Christopher, and thank you all, Roxy, for joining us. If you'd like to get notifications when we're going live each week, what you do is on the YouTube video, all right, if you click the scroll down button, there's options. You can click the like, which would be great because it'll push it up, all right, in your list that you've liked it. 2, click on the bell icon. It looks like a little bell, and then you'll get a notification like on your phone or on your computer that Ken and Farah are going live, and we've got a new show going on. So, like I said, like us, thank you. I see the thumbs up, and then go to our little bell and just click on the bell, highlight it, and you'll get all the notifications. Thanks for the question, Christopher. That was pretty important because we're just going to be doing it here from now on because it's so much easier to interact with you live. It was fun on Facebook for a great time. It was not working out because I think it's just the format, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah, and I noticed that I'm getting statistics that are actually more stable than Facebook, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
The ones about, speed, that I'll probably be able to get a better upload speed. We'll have less maintenance that happens on these other channels and these other services. YouTube is the standard everybody's copying off of.
True.
Like eBay is for auction sites and Amazon is for e-commerce. So it is the top dog, and they're so far ahead that even Amazon can't catch up with their perfection. So it's a good choice, and it just takes a little bit. We got a little I don't know, we call it cold feet.
We're gonna have some lumps and bumps.
Yes.
But as we get used to it, we'll figure it out. Oh, anytime, Christopher Fowler. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us because we love what we do, and we love helping in any way. And if we don't know something, we love researching it and helping you guys figure out what's right and how to do it. So
it's amazing. You look around for something for a while, you'll find it, and then we stick with it because they don't have any there's not a recourse when you find it.
No,
You don't
exactly.
keep looking when you find it.
Margaret just gave us great feedback too. She just says, you know what, this show is fluid. There's no static. There's no stalling. They're not getting bumped off. And she said the sound quality is better too. And I really needed to know that, Margaret, because doing voiceovers for really a lot of years, I listen to myself on Facebook and I go, can I please go gag-a-mag? It's like, ooh. Oh, Denise said Ron's on here too because he hates Facebook. Oh no! And Roxy, she couldn't even see it on Facebook. Oh, hi, Robin Howe. Yes, Robin Howe.
Father Dennis, we'll have to call him.
We'll have to call him and give him the.
He says he can't get in the chat. No, that was Father Driscoll. Actually.
Father Driscoll, probably. Yeah. So there's lots of people that, for whatever reason, Facebook is just, it's frustrating. So yes, we're just going to have to do like a blast and let everybody know we're here. So what was that last one you were talking about, dear? Because I had something and I forgot what we were talking about.
We were still on the face, and I was saying something about the face not looking like your dead uncle exactly. Like there's something wrong about it.
Well, you know what somebody brought up in chat? Black-eyed children. That is so common.
Yeah,
those black-eyed children.
Named it a phenomenon.
They actually did, because it is for whatever reason, folks. Hi, Bernard. Good to see you.
I think
Brother
the goblins,
Bernard.
sometimes what they used to call goblins, without having the big heads.
Well, I think
exactly.
It was. It did resemble a goblin of some sort, or like a little golem, which little tiny wizard thing. But these black-eyed children are really, really.
We'll have to research that a little bit more, but see, whenever you get the chances to be able to test its spirit, and you use, and then they disappear and stuff in the face of holy water, in the words, you can test something right at the doorstep. If they're there, like the so-called white-face men in black from the UFO phenomenon from Piedmont, or whatever that place was, Point Place, where the bridge collapsed and all that.
Yes.
If they're there and they're demonic or Satanist, you can get a reaction from them by saying the right words. And but no one thinks of it because they're freaked out. When I saw a very bizarre phenomenon that I'm not going to go into detail about tonight, I got up and got on the side of my bed with my jaw dropped, like when I was watching the first Jurassic Park movie. It's like, what the heck is that? And then, if it's not scary and directed at you like it's chasing at you, it can still be scary looking. And the reactions don't necessarily correlate with what people might write in a movie. So always remember that. Your reaction may not even be.
Exactly.
When you see a ghost, a child spirit, it may be one in disbelief, and it's like, what the heck? And you've seen that in some of those, like with the Blob. You remember when he walked up there, even Stephen King in that old movie Creep Show, when this meteor gunk that act like a blob came up, and he's like, he picks this stuff up out of this meteor, and it starts oozing down. It's like, what the heck is this stuff? Meteor S. Just not to
meteor butter.
Get bleeped out or anything. I don't know what the standards are, how rigid they are. So watch out for that. If it's something off about the face of the, like the distorted, or looks like they should be part of a sideshow, that's probably a demon being like Odo from the old Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It can't properly morph itself into the shape of a human 100%, and that reminds me very much like the demonics have been in our 40-plus years of experience. Preternatural events prior, pay attention to this stuff. I can't believe that sometimes I have to interview them for an hour to find out something else is going on before or after. Right now we're talking about before, but if you had things going on before and then this thing suddenly appears, it's like, why would it appear now? I wish I kind of put these in order a little bit better, because some of these relate directly to that, and it's going to show up later. I'm not going to go, I'll go back to that one again. I guess that's what we're going to have to do. But when you think you have a spirit in your house before that, and suddenly it makes itself known, but then you have to go back and you have to backtrack what kind of evil, did it pertain to any kind of evil trademarks, earmarkings of a demonic, red flags. And if you say yes, then you should not count on a little child suddenly coming to visit you out of the darkness, and then go in on this next one, if you wanted to throw in a comment on that one. Well,
I just, want to finish it up with, we've gotten, it was like so quiet most of the summer, then all of a sudden it's just like slam.
Yeah, as usual.
This
time of year.
Number of people right now that are having issues, and then all of a sudden, probably into the second or third interview, it's like, oh, well, I had this happen all that long ago, but I thought I was free, and I thought I'd cleared that up, and I didn't really even associate it with right now. All right, let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you this once. I'm going to tell you this twice. I'm going to tell you this a million times.
Yeah.
Demons have no time. They've got all of eternity, okay? So just because you think something happened 20 years ago, and you think you prayed about it, you think you've left it, you think you're doing good, you think nothing's going on, it's not necessarily so for that little group of cockroaches that's following you, because demons never come just by one. They don't come in one packs.
Yeah. Like
So
mice.
when if somebody says, hey, I need some help, or I need you to point me in the right direction, please encourage them to go over their history. If something horrific has happened in the past, chances are it's very, very, very much related to what's going on right now. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's what pretty much it. Prudential events, and
yes.
as we'll find out in a little bit, and we can go right over it because they go together. Any events prior to this, if your wife just had a miscarriage, or the family in itself, because it's going to affect the husband too, and it may be even the other kids who are looking forward to having a little brother or a little sister.
Yes.
Any of these kind of things, any of these events, dead uncle. The only thing probably doesn't apply is like a dead dog. You're not going to get the spirit of a dog coming back at the house. And don't tell me that, because I know it's not true, because we know the cases. Remember the Great Masquerade? Scroll up there and look at the top if you got to. The Great Masquerade, we didn't mention it because it's not that common, but they actually try to do beloved pets sometimes. So don't fall for it. If you really got to catch your pet in an unusual way, you're mourning it and stuff, and you would like to see your dog's ghost, be careful what you wish for. That's one of the mottos of this show, because desire is one of the biggest problems. Even though it's in the mental and it's not in the action, the demons read it. That's why the succubus cases get at the person in the dream, and then it becomes manifesting and doing things like bite marks in the inner thighs that are the size of a child, and so forth. These things will manifest eventually after it's gone through your dream process and your night experience in your everyday life. And you don't want to get anything, even a child ghost, that's going to reveal itself at some point because you decided that you're going to bring it a cookie or something like that, so you'd really like to see it again. So get your head, in the right perspective. You hate to be patronizing there, but okay, note the time of the day of the ghost. We've heard this all the time. It's like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and right now it's daylight savings time. And is daylight savings time an adjustment? Yes, it is. So it's not really 3 o'clock.
No.
It is. Let's see. What is this? Fall back, spring forward. So in reality, 2 o'clock is 3 o'clock.
True.
And in the time, but they adjusted it for daylight savings time. So don't think just because it's 2 o'clock, in your clock, that it's not the typical 3 a.m., which the theologians and we found from experiences others that the veil seems to be really at the thinnest between hell and earth. Heaven and earth, it's thinnest at 3 p.m. when the Blessed Mother assumed into heaven, and when Jesus died on the cross, and all these when he ascended into heaven, and so forth. And so that's something to note again. And a quick thing, you can find a 3 a.m. Thing. We'll just say more info on an old show that we did right here. If you search it right here on the page on YouTube. Yes, Farrah Rose.
I think about the timing of some of these things, and it's crazy because everybody thinks that, demons only bother you at night. They wouldn't bother you during the daytime because they're like vampires. They can't come out in the day.
Yeah, eventually they can.
No, that's so not true. They can come at you anytime they want. Yeah. Why do they choose the night? Why do they choose the dark?
It's comfortable.
Because that's when you're easier to scare. And that's when they have dominion over the dark.
Yeah, that's when they're at their most power. I think they really honestly achieve their greatest power when the lights go down. I mean, at night. Because if just because the house is dark, and it doesn't seem to, In some of these cases where the possessed had a mystical kind of experience where they could tell the demons was coming because they're stuck in possessions. No one's possessed 24/7 like with
Can't happen.
with Linda Blair.
Can't
They'll
happen.
say that the demon's coming, he's coming and coming, and then they'll change. Their eyes roll back in their head or whatever, and they'll totally change their personality. They'll get violent.
Yes.
They'll talk in a different voice, a guttural. And let me give you another example. Deb's not here tonight. But
No, we
Dublin,
miss
Connecticut.
Deb. We miss our Deb.
Deb's book, The Devil in Connecticut, is a great book because it's true. It's a case history. That's why we're still friends with her. We know it's true because it has all these things that no one else would ever come up with unless they experience a real thing. It's very unusual, but it is true, and they wouldn't be able to find it somewhere else. David had experiences where he identified demons in the house so that they like the upper corners of the attic. It's really dark up there during the day, so they hide on there, and then they come roaming around at night just like roaches. And it does seem to be that way, that they like it under your bed, they like it in your closet. So you're a little kid and you're looking like, it's like, what is that? And you swear you saw something fleet in your closet when you turned the lights on, kind of like that movie we were talking about with Father Bob. We didn't even get to it. What was that thing? It was this movie with that kid who used to play in the Wonder Years.
I don't know.
No, wait a minute. Was it?
I don't know who you're talking
And
about.
it was Howie Mandel played this monster, that came out of Monster World from under his bed. And then when you turn the lights on, he kind of like disappears. And but it was very real because this is the stuff I experienced for real. So don't give me that, you have night terrors and stuff like that. That's what Mom and Dad used to tell me. The reason why we got good at this is fighting our own problems in the early days, right, Barry? So.
Oh, yes.
But it was, what was the name of it? I'm sorry about that, but I think we're going into the wrong direction. I don't want to do a two-parter on this thing, but...
No kidding.
Yeah, so we'll keep it going, but I don't want to miss over anything significant, but it's easy to go like an old man and start telling a story about me and Yosemite on top of the cliff. Back in the 80s.
I know. Bernard, fellow brother OFS, has a question, which is pretty important, asking if we can see the devil as, a human, like a blonde young man or a blonde woman. Of course we can. In the daytime.
Yep, that's what succubus do.
The daytime.
Whatever your desire is and whatever.
And Tony was bringing up this great point that everybody think that, demons can't manifest because they need energy, and they need the energy of the night to manifest. Whoever came up with
storms.
The energy, I know, it's like the whole energy things. Okay, yeah, well,
that's why no one talks about it.
Demons are not. They're not a sun. They talk about the demons being as the stars in the sky. Demons are immortal beings. They are immortal, timeless. Okay. Time is like here, there's like no end to time. We're here. They're out there, okay? And as an exorcist explained it to us, they choose the time period, okay? So there's millions upon billions of them, and they choose a specific time to come and harass us. That's all there is to it. Do they need energy? No. They are either given express value as to what they do. And just like we were talking about principalities and powers, it's all rank and file. Generals can do a heck of a lot more work than foot soldiers. So a general can probably grab me, touch me, kick me, whatever God will allow him to do, whereas a foot soldier might bother me in my dreams. A foot soldier might be able to make a little bit of a stink. Foot soldier doesn't have the power a general does.
Yeah.
No
and they
way.
call them in for the possessions most of the time. Unless the person's so vulnerable, they all come in like teens with the car keys in the ignition, and the car's wide open, the windows are rolled down, and they all hop in there and they can't drive. Whoa, and the first one drives it off the road, and they get out holding their head, and then the big guy comes over and goes, "You don't know what you're doing. Get out of here." That they've done stuff like that in possession cases.
Oh yes.
They go in and they get contact and called. Another thing in the Devil in Connecticut case. These little demons, which we call the foot soldiers and tribes and so forth, and that's a Pharaohism, by the way, a tribe. First time I ever heard it was from you, and then we heard one of our favorite exorcists was Father Chad. Who said that lately? Who said tribe lately? Oh, it was Father Gary Thomas.
Yeah, it was Father Gary Thomas. This is the first time I heard it too. I was like, wow.
Father Gary
They're
Thomas,
little
God
tribes
bless him.
of little
talked to him in about a year.
beasties. I know. We need to get him on.
Yeah, why not? Maybe he would do it a video thing too. to come soon, right? But
Yes.
yeah, these little things that personify kind of a laity term help to kind of weed it out to what the truth is.
Yes.
And like in the old days when they said in the Bible, it is easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than for a man to go through a camel to go through an eye of a needle. Thank you very much, myself. Than the rich man to get into heaven. And you're like, an eye of a needle, that would take a long time. Taking the hair out, stick it in there, one hair. Oh man, this is going to take forever. How am I going to get the meat through there when it's going to take me forever to get one needle? Then you're thinking, an eye of a needle is a little small part in the gate that caused you to have to strip down everything, make your camel bow down with it unpacked, and then crawl through there so that you couldn't bring this horrendous weapons and have people, hiding inside your backpacks and all this other stuff. But we don't understand those terms. So the real deals, as we are called by the media, we like to simplify it with these isms and so forth, and the linguistics. Luckily, Farrah's not talking Latin because I don't understand a lick of it when the priest says it, or when
Yes.
Farrah. Thank you for doing the Latin version of the Sword of St. Michael. No, sorry, St. Michael prayer. Moving on,
Actually, we have a question from the chat room. I think this is a good
sure.
one to go over when we're talking about what the demons can do. Christopher has a question. His ex-wife had said that when she was about 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah.
she would get visits from a woman that had been burned a long time ago, and she had burn scars on her face and hands. Now, just think about it. Remember what we were talking about earlier, kids? What is the perspective of the person identifying what they are seeing? Can you imagine a little child, a little tiny 4 or 5-year-old? How would a 4 or 5-year-old understand what a burn scar is? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. And when we deal with all the sexual abuse cases and the molestation cases and the severe ritual cases that we've got, we have to look at the perspective and the age. And the perspective and age of your ex-wife tells me that she was molested. And that's, I'm making an assumption that I don't have all the facts, but according to the case studies that I've done and I've had, a little 4 or 5-year-old seeing somebody that was burned. What does a burn look like? A burn looks like no skin. So how would she see a woman with no face and no skin? That tells me that she's
really
blocking memories and being demonized. I feel bad for her. Really bad for her.
And darker red like Freddy Krueger's face or whatever. And the ears missing and the nose, and I don't know, some slightly burned. But how would they identify it as a burn? I mean, it could be acne scars. I mean,
well, that's different. But a child wouldn't know what an acne scar is either. And when you're saying, 4 or 5-year-old is identifying there's burns on the hands and the face.
Yeah, it's like, where did they get that knowledge
Oh,
from?
gosh. And I'm sorry she's your ex-wife, but I'm sure she's your ex-wife for a reason. She probably had some very, very, very deep soul wounds. So I hope you can say a prayer or two for her, because she's probably still suffering a great deal. That's a very, very frightful thing for any child to see.
That is open to ask the questions. That's why we call it live Q&A.
And that's
ask them throughout.
Pretty horrific.
It's not going to interrupt anything in the timeline to that extent. So recognize features.
He wants to know, is that a ghost or something different? And I just wanted to let him know I believe that was demonic.
Yeah. And you have to watch and listen to the some of these other things, but sometimes you have to go into deeper things. But initial impressions.
Yes. Well, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is a child going to be happy to see somebody disfigured and scarred? No, they're going to be frightened. Do angels come and frighten you like that? No, angels come like little balls of light. They come like a little warm blanket, and they snuggle you and they give you this warm envelope feeling. That's what angels do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Demons,
I think
demons
it's a natural law
disfigure themselves.
That they're limited, and we're not going to just see spirits that are coming to demand something of you, of a child. And a child doesn't even know to say purgatory prayers, even if they're Catholic, because they're just a child. They're not even the age of 7. Well, I don't know how old the child was, but even after the age of 7, they're not that keen on it. So that would be a temptation. It would invite and tempt.
Yes.
It would frighten. All of those things. All these things
It
are
would
negative.
really scare a small child. That's terrible.
So a purgatory spirit would not come to a child because it
No.
would come to the parent. I'm sure there's a living relative beside this child. They can go in and they would know to give purgatory prayers, for example, to help them pass. And what they call trap spirits. They're not trapped in that sense. And we can't free them ourselves. We're just mortals, and we live in this world. But we can by intercessing through the saints.
I know.
And have their guardian angel, the Blessed Mother, as somebody take them to the the next level or whatever, on their journey to heaven. Unless they are hell spirit and they're pretending not to be. I mean, it's pretty bad that the convents even had nuns appear in such one case who appeared and told them to stop praying for her. She's in hell. They're just wasting their prayers, because they were being loyal to a sister from the convent. Some will go to hell because they break God's laws. And like a cop, cops are really supposed to be like government officials. When they get in trouble for something, they should be even more held responsible than the civilians. But now it's kind of backwards. Now you get off the hook easier instead because it's like the good old boys club or something. Note the time of day has been done. Recognize features. That's kind of been mentioned when I said if you recognize the features, that's kind of like when you look at the face on number 3 and you say, that doesn't look like Uncle Ed, or something off about him. And that's what I mean, that if it looks sorta, so that's kind of a redundant one. I'm sorry. We put those up. If I spent more time on it like it was getting prepared for a book, it would have been better. But we come up with these things every week. And sometimes we're very busy with the ministry as we are this time of the year, and we have 2 young children still. Well, they're young to us anyway, because we're in our mid-50s. Recognize features. So anyway.
Okay, so we're on which one?
Significant
Number
prior 7.
Okay.
Prior events, job loss, death in family, miscarriage. We mentioned that to sort. Anything to add before we move off of that one?
No, not really, because we're talking about an investigation and trying to determine what you've seen. Is it a good ghost? And when you look at what's going on in your life, if when we're talking about child spirits, why would a God that loves you allow you to hear a crying child after you just lost a baby? Why would he increase your pain, increase your grief and your mourning by letting you listen to a wailing child?
That's right.
That's just not the way God works. No.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, too.
And a job loss, death in the family. Sadly, these kind of stressors, there's... In humanistic psychology, there's a scale for some of the worst stressors, and right up there with divorce is the loss of a child, the loss of a parent, and losing a job, your livelihood. That is going to cause you nightmares and sleepless nights. So, as we were talking about in the beginning, again, we have to go back. What is the perspective of the person that's seeing or hearing the anomaly? If the person is going through these severe things, you have to take into account, is this supporting and uplifting to the person, or is this ripping them apart? Okay, go ahead. Sorry. To next, 8? Or
that's a good one. Yeah, we can do the 7, B, events occur after the first sighting. Well, this is kind of a timeline thing, and it's in here in the list, so when we get to it, we can just kind of skip over it. You know what this means? This means that if you had experienced a child spirit, for example, appearing to you, you shouldn't suddenly have paranormal experiences after, unless it comes back again and does the same thing, not something else. Like, in other words, it's not like a spirit that's got like a plan and says, that didn't work, I'll try strangling them, or I'll write a message in the air and stuff like that. I mean, that's such a rare case that you're only going to read them in historical documents and then on people making it up or something, or folklore. The one of these things go into those kind of extremes. The child, usually the apparition will repeat the same thing, and it's basically, if you're seeing and you recognize, say a purgatory spirit prayer. You say the 7-day St. Bridget one, for example. It's in the back of the Catholic Demonologist Handbook. That's why we put it in there in the final edition, the published edition. But that is the events is noticeable because you have to look at these A, B, C, D, and probably more. Is the events that you're experiencing after the first sighting increasing in magnitude over time? Maybe that same night you had something. Are they remaining the same? Have they decreased since? Or is there nothing since the apparition? The first one is bad. It's always demonic. Demonics never stay the same. You know that you could live in a Scottish castle and be 7 generations in, and real ghosts will still be there, and they'll do the same exact thing. Nothing gets worse. There's no suicide patterns. There's no ill feelings. There's no murders. None of that stuff's there. They're just there. That's where the theory, I think, in reality, is a residual effect, when it's not. It's a purgatory spirit that hasn't been addressed. That's why they don't do anything. Purgatory spirits don't affect anything except the people in the house, as far as they're like scared, oh, it's a ghost. But really, in reality, they don't get the fear except for the Casper syndrome. You know, the first time you see it, it's like, oh, good ghost, you know, sometimes. But they usually don't bring that negative feeling with them like that. But I think it's an overlay of that kind of mixed thing.
I agree, and we're at the top of the hour. We're actually slightly over.
Holy smokes.
So, sorry we were half hour late, but we took you a little bit over the hour, kids, and we don't want to push our luck and let you guys go to bed. So, you can snuggle in and have some sweet dreams.
Longer than this.
And we will definitely look forward to seeing you. We're going to do this on YouTube again next week, right?
Yeah, why not? We'll just do it just like this.
Let's remind everyone, okay, like, subscribe, share if you can, and we will see you next week. We'll finish up the list because we do have a few, so we'll just kind of tuck that into our next week, and we'll try and hurry up and get through that. Never forget, kids, the battle's already been won, and we're the real deals. We're here to help you fight the fight and win it right. God bless you. Have a great night. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can see you in a week. Good night.
Good night. The Real Deals TV show, copyright 2018. A Swords of St. Michael production. Any unauthorized duplication or rebroadcast or retransmission of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Swords of the Saint Network or that of Kenneth and Pharaoh's Deal is strictly prohibited. Hello, this is Brother Kenneth. You can help support our ministry by subscribing, liking, and especially viewing our videos on our website, which are designed for self-help and education to help yourself and help others. And it's all free. Make sure you check back every week because we'll have new content loaded every week, at least another episode of The Real Deals TV, and share with your friends. You can also click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button near the top right of the screen. It'll give you notifications as soon as we get new videos uploaded, as we'll continue this huge library of education. Unlike anything else that you've seen on the web so far, putting the real truth, the real facts, none of this mamby-pamby stuff that has all of this new age stuff, witchcraft, keys of Solomon, none of that stuff is going to be here. Just pure, unadulterated Christian Judeo solutions that work. That's at youtube.com/therealdeals. Or you can surf there from the swordsofstmichael.org.